The city was built inside a mountain, under the ocean, hidden from everything above, hidden from the light, hidden from the storms, hidden from whatever hunted in the deep water. For centuries, the people who built it felt safe. The walls held, the enemies could not get in, the world above could not reach them. And slowly, quietly, comfort replaced vigilance. Why worry? The walls were perfect, the city was unbreachable, nothing could touch them. They were wrong, but this story does not begin with the ending. It begins with one small creature who could never stay inside. His name was Fizz. And the city had never been able to hold him anyway. Subscribe if you are new. A new League of Legends story every week. This one is about the one who was never where he was supposed to be. The ancient race that built the underwater city had lived there for generations. Long enough that the city felt permanent. Long enough that the idea of something going wrong felt theoretical. The city had enemies. Every place that exists has enemies. But the walls were impenetrable. The location was secret. The depth of the water was protection enough. And so, the people lived. Peacefully. Comfortably. With the particular ease of those who have forgotten what danger actually feels like. Fizz had not forgotten. Fizz had never been comfortable enough to forget. From the time he was small, the city felt too still, too contained, too certain of its own safety. He could not sit inside it and wait for nothing to happen. It was not in him. He would watch the currents outside the walls, the movement of creatures in the water beyond the city's borders, the darkness further out, the unknown distances. And he would think, what is out there? And then, because he was Fizz, he would go find out. He slipped out of the city constantly. Not because he was reckless. He was not reckless. He was curious. There is a difference. Reckless means not thinking about the danger. Curious means thinking about it and going anyway. Because the danger was interesting. Because what was on the other side of the danger was interesting. Because staying inside and never knowing was worse than whatever might be out there. He had tried staying inside. He had tried being the kind of person who sat with what was comfortable. He could not do it. The walls made him restless. The safety made him anxious. The stillness felt wrong in a way he could not explain to anyone else. He was not built for still. He was built for moving. He developed skills this way. Not in a training hall. Not from a teacher. From the ocean itself. From the specific, unforgiving education of real encounters with real threats. He learned to move through water the way very few creatures could. Fast, unpredictable, able to change direction instantly. He learned where the weak points were in every creature he faced. Not from studying them in books. From facing them. From surviving the first encounter and adjusting. From treating every near-death experience as information. He learned how to survive things that should not have been survivable. He accumulated the kind of knowledge that cannot be taught. Only earned. And he kept going out. And coming back. And going out again. Every time returning with something new. Some piece of understanding. Some technique refined. Some creature encountered and escaped. One day he came back, and the city was empty. Not destroyed. Not damaged. Empty. Every person gone. No sign of where they had gone. No message, no explanation, no trace of what had happened. Just absence. He searched every part of the city. Every room. Every corridor. Every space where someone might have hidden or left a sign. He searched for a long time. He was thorough. He was methodical. He searched the way someone searches when they do not want to reach the conclusion. When finding nothing is worse than not looking. But eventually searching ends. And the result stands: nothing. His people were gone. He did not know where, he did not know why, he did not know if they were alive. He stood in the silence of a city that had held thousands of people. And he was the only one there. The city that had felt too small, too still, too safe, now felt enormous and impossibly quiet. He searched through the ruins for a long time. And then he found something. A trident. Magical. Ancient. Clearly significant in a way he could not fully articulate but could feel. He took it. And he left. Because there was nothing left to stay for. And because staying was never really something Fizz was built for. He swam. For years. The ocean is enormous. It contains multitudes. It contains dangers that would have ended most creatures immediately. He navigated them with the skills he had spent a lifetime building. He found food. He found shelter. He found paths through deep water that very few beings had ever traveled. He cataloged everything: the creatures, the currents, the geography of the deep, the patterns of light and darkness. He was alone. He had always been comfortable alone. He had chosen it, repeatedly, his whole life, every time he left the city. Every time he went out further than anyone else. He had been alone by choice. This was different. This was a different kind of alone. Not the chosen solitude of a brief adventure. The permanent kind. The kind that does not end when you swim back through the city gates. Because there were no city gates to swim back to. Because what had been home was now just an empty place he used to live. He kept moving. Because stopping meant sitting with that. And sitting with that was not something he was ready for. Then one day something appeared above him. Shadows on the surface. The shape of hulls. Boats. He had seen boats before. Glimpsed them from below. He had not gone up to investigate. He went up now. He came out of the water near what would turn out to be Bilgewater. A port city. Built on the water. Full of people. So many people. He had never seen so many people in one place. Not since the city. And they were above the surface. Living on top of the ocean instead of under it. Boats everywhere. Noise everywhere. Smells he had no name for. Sounds he had never heard. The constant movement of something that never quite stopped. He had not known this was possible. He had not known the world worked this way. He was fascinated. He could not help himself. He went to look. Of course he went to look. He always went to look. He went to Bilgewater. He moved through it the way he moved through everything. With curiosity. With the willingness to get into situations that others would have avoided. He touched things. He followed interesting sounds. He appeared in places where he had not been expected. He found the kitchens of ships and investigated their contents. He discovered what happened when you disturbed a pile of nets. He learned, through direct experience, that certain fishermen had very specific opinions about pull. Their gear being rearranged. He disrupted, without fully meaning to, the routines of people who had very specific ideas about pull, how their routine should go. He made people angry, some of them very angry. Some of them angry enough to want to do something about it. He found himself in the familiar position of being somewhere between an adventure and a keen, serious problem. This felt like home in a way he had not expected. He liked Bilgewater. This surprised him. It was loud and chaotic and full of people who were not particularly interested in being peaceful. Zaya Wakelan, Ore thul Coelho, Wana Blehi Ia Boarahi, Zaya We Lo, Zaya Ban. Maring Dioboa and Maya Boarahi, or Loful. It was also full of life. The kind of life that moves and shifts and surprises you. The kind he had been chasing his whole existence. He did not want to leave. But the people who wanted to catch him or kill him were becoming a real consideration. He was standing on the dock. Deciding. Going back to the ocean. Returning to the years of alone. Giving up this strange, crowded, interesting place. Then he saw the sea creature. A massive predator. The kind that existed in the darkest parts of the ocean. The kind that came up from below with no warning. It was attacking the harbor, the ships, the docks, the people on them. Fizz knew this creature. Not this exact creature, the type. He had encountered things like it before. He knew how they moved. He knew where the vulnerabilities were. He knew what it took to stop one. And nobody in Bilgewater knew any of that. He stopped deciding. He moved. He went into the water. He used everything he had spent years learning. The speed, the angles, the trident, the specific hard-won knowledge of how these creatures worked. He brought it down. The harbor was intact. The ships were intact. The people were intact. And the people had seen what he did. The attitude changed immediately. Not all the way. Not completely. But enough. Enough to shift from wanting to catch him to being willing to tolerate him. And for Fizz, toleration was more than he needed. He stayed. He found, in Bilgewater, something he had not expected to find again. A place that felt like it might become home. Not the same as the city under the mountain. He did not need it to be the same. Different was fine. Different was, in many ways, better. Because different meant new, and new was the thing he had always been chasing. Louder, more dangerous, stranger, full of people who asked difficult questions and made complicated decisions and lived at the door edge of things. His kind of place. But real. And he was part of it now. For better or worse, mostly for the better, he was the last of whatever he was. But he was not alone. Not anymore. And for now, that was enough. If this story stayed with you, subscribe. Every week, a new League of Legends lore. The ones who were never where they were supposed to be.